In the small, forgotten town of Raven's Hollow, nestled between ancient, gnarled trees and shrouded in perpetual mist, there existed a tradition that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. Every year, on the eve of All Hallows' Eve, the townspeople gathered in the dilapidated community hall to share true scary stories that would haunt the listeners' dreams. It was a night when the boundary between the living and the dead seemed to blur, casting an eerie glow over Raven's Hollow. The townsfolk, adorned in tattered cloaks and masks carved from the bones of long-forgotten creatures, filed into the hall with anticipation etched on their faces. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the distant howls of unseen beasts. The flickering candles cast dancing shadows on the cracked walls, setting the stage for a night of spine-chilling tales. The first storyteller, an elderly woman with haunted eyes, took the stage. Her gnarled hands trembled as she began her tale, a tale so unsettling that the very atmosphere seemed to constrict around the audience. In the heart of Raven's Hollow, where the mist clings like a ghostly shroud, there lies an ancient cemetery, she began, her voice a mere whisper that echoed through the hall. Legend has it that the spirits of those buried there awaken on the eve of All Hallows' Eve, seeking revenge for the wrongs done to them in life. This cemetery, veiled in shadows and embraced by the gnarled branches of ancient trees, is said to hold a tale so spine-chilling that it sends shivers down the bravest spines. It begins with a lone wanderer, a curious soul drawn to the mysteries that surrounded Raven's Hollow. The townspeople, cautious and superstitious, spoke in hushed tones about the graveyard that stood as a silent sentinel to the secrets buried within. Legend had it that the cemetery held a crypt hidden beneath the twisted roots of the oldest tree, where an ancient curse lay dormant. It was said that every midnight, the spirits of those interred in unmarked graves would rise, seeking solace for the wrongs committed against them in life. One fateful night, a group of thrill-seekers, their faces hidden behind masks of false bravado, decided to unravel the mysteries of Raven's Hollow. Guided by the dim light of flickering lanterns, they ventured into the heart of the mist-shrouded town, their footsteps echoing through the empty streets. The entrance to the cemetery greeted them with an eerie silence, broken only by the creaking of the rusted iron gate as it swung open. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the gravestones, each one a marker for a life long extinguished. As the group delved deeper, the air grew colder and the mist thickened, swallowing the moonlight. They found themselves standing before the ancient tree, its branches contorted like the skeletal fingers of the underworld. The crypt lay hidden beneath, its entrance concealed by time and neglect. Undeterred, they pried open the moss-covered door and descended into the dimly lit chamber below. The air in the crypt was heavy with the scent of decay, and the flickering candles offered only a feeble defense against the encroaching darkness. It was there, in the heart of Raven's Hollow, that the group stumbled upon an old, weathered book, Its pages, filled with cryptic symbols and arcane drawings, told the story of a vengeful spirit awakened by the intrusion of the living. The curse, bound by the blood spilled on sacred ground, sought restitution for the sins committed against the forgotten souls. As the clock struck midnight, a low, mournful wail echoed through the crypt, sending a chill down the spines of the intruders. The temperature plummeted, and the flickering candles extinguished, leaving them in absolute darkness. A soft rustling of unseen figures surrounded them, and the air became charged with an otherworldly energy. Whispers, like the distant murmur of the wind, filled the crypt, recounting tales of betrayal and anguish. Suddenly, the shadows began to coalesce, taking form in the ghostly figures of the long-departed. Eyes that glowed with an ethereal light fixed upon the intruders, and a chorus of tormented souls echoed through the subterranean chamber. In a desperate attempt to escape the wrath of the vengeful spirits, the group rushed towards the crypt's entrance, but the heavy door, once easily opened, refused to yield. Panic set in as the whispers grew louder, weaving a tapestry of sorrow and despair. Just as it seemed the group would succumb to the malevolent force within the crypt, a single name echoed through the darkness, the name of the one responsible for the curse that bound the spirits to Raven's Hollow. With this revelation, the air in the crypt shifted. The ghostly figures retreated, their mournful cries fading into the depths of the cemetery. The temperature rose, and the candles reignited, casting a warm glow on the faces of the terrified intruders. As the group stumbled out of the crypt, gasping for breath, they found themselves standing in the moonlit cemetery. The mist had lifted, and the ancient tree stood silent, its branches no longer contorted in agony. Word spread through Raven's Hollow of the group's harrowing encounter, and the townspeople, once skeptical of the legends, now approached the cemetery with newfound reverence. The curse had been appeased, but the whispers of the spirits lingered, a reminder of the thin veil that separated the world of the living from the realm beyond. To this day, as the mist clings to the graves like a ghostly shroud, the townspeople gather on the eve of All Hallows' Eve to pay homage to the forgotten souls of Raven's Hollow. The ancient cemetery, once a place of fear, has become a sanctuary, where the living and the dead coexist in a delicate balance. And as the midnight hour approaches, a soft, mournful wail can still be heard, a reminder that the past, no matter how buried, will always find a way to resurface in the heart of Raven's Hollow. As the first storyteller concluded her tale, the torchlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with the spirits she spoke of. The next storyteller, a weathered man with a face etched with lines of experience, stepped forward to share his own chilling account. Another man told residents a chilling horror story about the House of Whispers. The man's story unfolded with a sense of foreboding, describing the mysterious disappearances that had plagued the town for generations. The mansion, he claimed, had a hunger for lost souls, and its dark corridors twisted and turned, leading unsuspecting victims to a realm beyond the living. As the tale of the House of Whispers reached its climax, the audience could swear they heard faint whispers in the drafty hall. The shadows seemed to elongate, reaching out like ghostly fingers. Unseen eyes watched from the darkness, leaving an indelible mark on the listener's imagination. The House of Whispers, with its time-worn facade and ivy-clad windows, stood as a testament to a bygone era. Many claimed it was cursed, that the very essence of malevolence clung to its foundations. Its dark reputation was fueled by the mysterious disappearances that had haunted Raven's Hollow for generations. One stormy night, a group of daring individuals, fueled by a morbid curiosity, gathered to unravel the mysteries hidden within the House of Whispers. Armed with flickering lanterns and nervously exchanged glances, they crossed the threshold into the foreboding mansion. As they ventured deeper into the dimly lit halls, the air grew thick with a palpable tension. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the peeling wallpaper, giving life to the ancient portraits that adorned the walls. The very atmosphere seemed to whisper secrets to those who dared listen. The group stumbled upon a grand ballroom, its once opulent chandeliers now hanging precariously from the ceiling. The room seemed frozen in time, as if the spirits of a forgotten era still waltzed in a spectral dance. It was there, in the heart of the mansion, that the whispers began. Faint voices, distant and ethereal, echoed through the ballroom. The group strained to discern the words, but the whispers were elusive, slipping through their grasp like elusive phantoms. An inexplicable coldness enveloped the room, and the shadows seemed to gather in the corners, conspiring with the unseen forces that dwelt within. As the group pressed on, each room revealed a new layer of the House of Whispers' dark history. Secret passages led them through labyrinthine corridors, and doors creaked open of their own accord. It was as if the very structure of the mansion was alive, responding to the intruders with an unsettling awareness. In a forgotten library, the group discovered dusty tomes that chronicled the tales of those who had entered the House of Whispers before them. The pages spoke of lost souls, trapped in a dimension beyond the living, their anguished whispers forever resonating within the mansion's walls. As each revelation, the group felt the weight of an unseen presence bearing down upon them. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on forms that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The House of Whispers revealed its true nature, a realm where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. In the chilling silence, the mirror whispered the group's most closely guarded secrets, laying bare the sins of their past. Each member, consumed by a surreal nightmare, grappled with the manifestations of their own fears. The very fabric of reality seemed to unravel as the House of Whispers plunged them into a nightmarish realm of their own making. Desperation set in as the group struggled to break free from the mirror's malevolent grasp. The whispers in the mansion reached a cacophony, a symphony of spectral voices that seemed to converge upon the intruders. The air itself pulsed with an ominous energy, and the walls of the House of Whispers seemed to close in on them. In a final act of desperation, the group shattered the mirror, its shards scattering like fractured memories. The malevolent forces that gripped the mansion recoiled, and the House of Whispers fell silent. The shadows receded, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted, leaving the group gasping for breath in the wake of their harrowing ordeal. As they stumbled out of the House of Whispers, the storm outside had subsided, and the first light of dawn painted Raven's Hollow in muted hues. The group, forever changed by their encounter with the supernatural, vowed never to speak of the horrors they witnessed within those haunted walls. The House of Whispers, standing silent and foreboding in the outskirts of Raven's Hollow, retained its dark reputation. The whispers lingered in the memories of those who dared to enter, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. The mansion, with its secrets and malevolent echoes, remained a testament to the thin veil that separated the living from the realm of the supernatural, a place where reality itself whispered in the shadows of the House of Whispers. The night wore on, and each storyteller took the stage, weaving tales of spectral apparitions, haunted forests, and cursed objects. The atmosphere in the hall grew increasingly charged, and the line between reality and the supernatural blurred. One storyteller, a young woman with a porcelain mask concealing her features, stepped forward with an air of mystery. Her tale was unlike the others, a narrative that transcended the boundaries of the physical world. In the heart of Raven's Hollow, there exists a forgotten dimension, accessible only through the dreams of the sleepless. There, in the realm of perpetual darkness, dwell entities that feed on the fear of the living. They manifest in nightmares, taking on forms beyond comprehension. In the realm of eternal darkness, where shadows held sway and the very concept of time lost its meaning, there existed entities that thrived on the fear of the living. These malevolent beings, born from the deepest recesses of the human psyche, were masters of the macabre, weaving nightmares that transcended the boundaries of comprehension. These entities, nameless and formless, existed in the twisted fabric of the night, lurking in the spaces between wakefulness and slumber. They were drawn to the whispers of dread, the silent screams that echoed in the minds of those who dared venture into the realm of their influence. As the night fell and the living succumbed to the embrace of sleep, the entities stirred. They manifested themselves in dreams, taking on forms that defied logic and reason. They were the architects of horror, sculpting nightmares with an artistry that plunged the dreamer into a realm of unimaginable terror. In the darkness, these entities became phantoms, their shapes shifting and contorting like shadows on the edge of consciousness. They were the embodiment of fear itself, feeding on the primal instincts that stirred within the depths of the human soul. Some took on the guise of grotesque creatures with eyes that glowed with an otherworldly malevolence. Others materialized as ethereal specters, wisps of darkness that coiled around the dreamer like vengeful spirits. Each entity, unique in its manifestation, sought to extract the purest essence of fear from those ensnared in its nightmarish grasp. The tales of these entities spread like wildfire among those who dared share their experiences of the realm of eternal darkness. The dreamers spoke of encounters with unspeakable horrors, of waking in a cold sweat with the echoes of monstrous laughter reverberating in their ears. One story told of a man who found himself in a desolate landscape, surrounded by towering, twisted trees that seemed to leer at him with malicious intent. The entities took the form of spectral figures, their faces obscured by the ever-present shadows. Each step the man took sent ripples of dread through the air, and he could feel the entities closing in, their insatiable hunger for fear palpable. In another tale, a woman described a dreamscape where reality itself warped and shifted. The entities appeared as distorted reflections in a funhouse of terror, their features melting and reforming in a grotesque dance. The very fabric of the dream seemed to pulse with an eerie energy as the entities reveled in the disorientation and panic they induced. The stories painted a vivid picture of a realm where the boundaries between the waking world and the nightmares that lurked within the mind blurred. The entities, like ethereal predators, sought out the vulnerable and ensnared them in a web of fear, leaving an indelible mark on their subconscious. As the tales of these entities circulated, a collective unease settled over those who heard them. The fear of the unknown, of what might lurk in the shadows of the night, became a common thread that bound the living in a shared experience of dread. And so, in the eternal darkness, the entities persisted, forever hungry for the fear that sustained them. The stories of their nightmarish manifestations became cautionary tales, whispered in hushed tones as a reminder that in the tapestry of the unknown, the entities that dwelt in the depths of fear were ever present, waiting for the veil between dreams and reality to thin once more. As the woman spoke, the very air in the hall seemed to thicken, and the candles flickered violently. She described a place where the laws of reality were mere suggestions, and the boundaries of the mind dissolved into a chaotic dreamscape. The listeners clung to her every word, feeling the tendrils of otherworldly dread wrap around their consciousness. As the night progressed, the stories grew more elaborate and surreal, each storyteller adding a layer of darkness to the tapestry of Raven's Hollow. The audience, now fully immersed in the realm of the macabre, couldn't shake the feeling that the stories they heard were not mere tales, but glimpses into a hidden reality. As the final storyteller took the stage, the atmosphere in the hall reached a crescendo of unease. The hooded figure, cloaked in shadows, spoke in a voice that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the abyss. "In the heart of Raven's Hollow," the hooded figure intoned, "there exists a mirror that reflects not your own image, but the darkness within your soul. Those who dare gaze into it risk unleashing the malevolent force that resides on the other side." The hooded figure's tale unfolded with a sense of impending doom, describing the mirror as a portal to a dimension of pure horror. The listeners felt a chill crawl down their spines as they envisioned their own reflections twisting into grotesque parodies of themselves. In the quiet town of Shadehaven, nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, there stood a dilapidated mansion known as Blackthorn Manor. Abandoned for decades, its sagging timbers and broken windows bore witness to a dark history that whispered through the town like an unsettling breeze. At the heart of this decaying estate lay a mirror, a seemingly innocuous relic that held a malevolent secret. Legend spoke of the Blackthorn Mirror, a tarnished looking-glass with an ornate ebony frame. It was said to reflect not the physical likeness of those who gazed into it, but the very essence of their souls, laying bare the darkness that resided within. Locals warned of the mirror's curse, cautioning that whoever dared to look into it risked unleashing the evil power that dwelt on the other side. One fateful night, a group of curious teenagers, drawn by the allure of the forbidden, decided to explore Blackthorn Manor. Armed with flashlights and fueled by youthful bravado, they entered the derelict mansion with trepidation. The air inside was thick with the musty scent of decay, and the floor creaked beneath their tentative footsteps. As they ventured deeper into the derelict mansion, they stumbled upon a room cloaked in shadows, its windows long since shattered. In the center of the room stood the Blackthorn Mirror, its surface murky and enigmatic. The frame, adorned with intricate carvings, seemed to pulse with a subtle, ominous energy. Despite the warnings echoing in the back of their minds, the teenagers were drawn to the mirror like moths to a flame. One by one, they peered into its depths, expecting to see their own reflections staring back. Instead, the mirror revealed twisted, distorted versions of their innermost fears and insecurities. As the room filled with an unnatural chill, the air seemed to vibrate with malevolence. Unbeknownst to the teenagers, the mirror had unleashed the shadows within their souls, allowing them to take form in the eerie, dimly lit room. The first to look into the mirror, a young woman named Emily, saw a grotesque manifestation of her fear of abandonment. A spectral figure resembling those she held dear, but distorted and contorted, clawed its way through the mirror, reaching out with ethereal hands. The others, witnessing Emily's terror, dared not look away. One by one, the mirror conjured nightmarish visions, each tailored to exploit the deepest fears of those who gazed into its abyss. The room became a twisted gallery of horrors as the shadows manifested, no longer confined to the mirror, but free to roam the haunted halls of Blackthorn Manor. With every glance into the mirror, the malevolent force grew stronger. The entities, fueled by the fear they instilled in the hearts of the teens, solidified into tangible, menacing forms. The once decrepit mansion now echoed with the anguished wails of the shadows, hungry for more fear to sustain them. As the night wore on, the group, trapped in a nightmarish reality of their own making, desperately sought a way to break the mirror's curse. The shadows, now taking on corporeal forms, stalked them through the haunted halls, their distorted faces contorted with malice. In a final act of desperation, the group, guided by an unexpected surge of courage, decided to shatter the Blackthorn Mirror. As the glass splintered, the shadows screamed in agony, their forms dissolving into the fractured shards. With the mirror destroyed, the malevolent force that had plagued Blackthorn Manor receded, leaving behind a silence broken only by the echoing sobs of the teenagers. The once abandoned mansion, now devoid of the supernatural presence that had bound it, returned to its state of decay. The legend of the Blackthorn Mirror endured, passed down through the generations as a cautionary tale. The townspeople, ever wary of the cursed looking-glass, spoke of the teenagers who had dared to confront the darkness within themselves. The shattered remnants of the mirror were hidden away, a reminder that some reflections were best left unseen, and the shadows that lurked within the soul could be more terrifying than any ghost that haunted the halls of Blackthorn Manor. As the hooded figure concluded the final tale of the night, the hall fell into an uneasy silence. The flickering candles cast long shadows, and the air felt charged with a palpable energy. The townspeople, now united by the shared experience of the night, exchanged knowing glances. The storytellers, their faces concealed by masks and cloaks, retreated into the shadows, leaving the audience to grapple with the lingering fear that clung to the air. As the last echoes of the tales faded away, the townspeople filed out of the hall, their hearts heavy with the weight of the stories they had heard. Raven's Hollow returned to its quiet, mist-shrouded existence, but the tales of that fateful night lingered in the minds of those who had borne witness. The line between reality and the supernatural had blurred, leaving the townspeople to wonder if the stories they shared were a mere reflection of their collective imagination or glimpses into the true horror that lurked in the shadows of Raven Hollow. And so, as the mist settled over the town and the ancient trees whispered in the darkness, the legends of Raven Hollow continued to grow, passed down from generation to generation. The true scary stories for sleeping became a part of the town's folklore, a testament to the enigmatic forces that dwelt in the heart of Raven Hollow, waiting to be awakened on the eve of All Hallows' Eve.